The information is presented for educational purposes only, is not intended to diagnose or prescribe for any medical or psychological condition, or to prevent, treat, mitigate, or cure such conditions. This information is only presented herein for entertainment and educational purposes only. Hi, welcome to the Whole Body Detox Show. I'm your host, David DeHaas, where each week we bring you information on how to heal the body naturally. We're located in Boise, Idaho, where we do a 10-day healing retreat, and are best known for helping people get their health miracle. If you want to know more about that, go to healingtheincurables.com. That's healingtheincurables.com. Or you can reach out to us on the telephone, 208-378-9911. Enjoy today's show. Good morning, everyone. David DeHaas from Living Waters Wellness Center on the Whole Body Detox Show. Back again for another episode of the Whole Body Detox Show. And this week we're going to cover a lot of multiple areas. We're going to be talking about constipation. We're going to be talking about brain fog. We're talking about the lymphatic system. We're going to talk about detox in general. And we're going to be talking about some of the invisible pollution like we talked about last week when we had the Idahoans for Safe Technology on the show, as well as some people who were injured and been affected by the radiated power coming out of these 5G antennas. I know many that probably listen are somewhat with having cognitive dissonance that, oh my God, I can't believe that this is really happening, because it does seem a little bit Orwellian that there's this invisible pollution because we can't see it. I mean, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it until it's too late. Well, I mean, too late, you've got brain cancer, or like what happened to Hank, you've got AFib. And Hank, did a poll around his neighborhood, and many other people are experiencing similar symptoms. So we know it's happening. We've seen it happen in other areas that have started 5G first. And it's something that in the valley that is going to be a disaster. And the reality is that our local governments, again, are in cognitive dissonance, and they really don't understand how damaging this is. Most of them are just dismissing it because it's just one of those things that's really hard to believe. You can believe when someone rams into you with a car and creates an accident, or you fall and break a leg. I mean, that's visual. You can feel it. You can touch it. You can even have empathy for someone who got smashed in a car accident. It's really hard to have empathy for something you cannot see. It takes a lot of faith. I got called into this work. I knew that there was damages from EMF way back, 3 or 4 years ago, even before that, come to think of it, when we started having people coming in and having symptoms that were odd symptoms. We just couldn't put a focus on it. And those first symptoms we determined were coming from dirty electricity. They were near a lot of power lines going over their house, or they had a lot of Bluetooth on Wi-Fi going on in their home, and they were affected by it. But they didn't understand why it was causing their brain fog, what was causing their tingling in their body. And when we asked them to take some action and remove that, things changed. Well, about a year ago, of course, I got a phone call regarding an ordinance that was going through the Ada County Highway District, and I hopped on a phone call and for 4 hours listened to an expert talk about, and I got to tell you, our brains were overloaded. I mean, we drank from a fire hose at that day. But, I already had enough information to understand that, oh my gosh, this stuff is really real. We've got to do something about it. And so that's how I got involved, and we eventually formed a 501c3 called Idahoans for Safe Technology. And there's been a very small group of us educating local jurisdictions on their rights as local governments to be able to properly regulate this. Because most of them have been basically lied to by the industry, telecoms, that they have no ability to regulate this, which is entirely untrue. Even Title II and Title I, when I start using Title I and Title II, most people's eyes gloss over. I had a gal yesterday who said, David, that was just freaking me out when you're talking about Title I and Title II, but it's something that you need to know about. So there's basically cell phone calls, which you guys, we don't want to get rid of anybody's cell phones, right? We've been using it. We're all married to it. Most of us taking our phones out of our homes because we got so used to telephones being mobile. Well, we're not looking to take that away. What we're looking for is proper regulation. The big macro towers can put out signal for at least 10 miles. So we don't need lots of them in the valley. And there actually is not that many here in the valley. But the 5G towers are actually for another source of data. And that is basically data that you get right now via your cable. So you get that from Sparklight or CenturyLink, and it's wired to your home. It's safe. It's in the ground or on the pole. And there's no spray coming at you. And if you don't want to have Wi-Fi in your home, you don't have to have Wi-Fi in your home. You can choose to have it or not have it. Wi-Fi doesn't go that far, and it's a power that's very, very low, and it still can affect some people, others maybe not so much. But the reality is that you have the control. That's the beauty of the way we've been doing things. You have control. With 5G, you don't have control. You don't have say. These towers will be every 600 feet. At the Boise Planning and Zoning meeting on this last Monday, this tower was going to be about 25 feet from a home, which is very, very close. And we've seen in other jurisdictions around the country where people have had these towers, they're about 35 feet off the ground. So they're spraying right at a second floor window and maybe into a bedroom. And people have been disastrously affected by it. I've been on the phone with many attorneys from around the country who are in their 70s and 80s, and they're so upset that they're working, in some cases, pro bono, because they've seen their friends be killed by this radiation coming from these power poles. And again, I've been in this for a solid year, and sometimes I hear the things they're telling me, and these are well-versed guys. I mean, they're not spewing out a bunch of information that is non-relevant. I mean, these guys have been in the trenches here, and they understand the law. And at the end of the day, you got to take my word for it. We don't want it. We don't need it. It's not going to help you get better internet service. In fact, 5G towers are actually slower than what you get from cable. The advertisements make it sound really great. Better phone call service. Not true. They will actually work in conjunction with the 4G towers, but it's basically for downloading your Hulu, your Netflix, your internet stuff. And, do you really need to be walking around in a park downloading a video? I mean, you can do that now on data. This is going to make it speed up a little bit, but do we really, really need to have that? When we look at the end of the day of what's being caused by this, the people with AFib, you heard Rosa last week. If you didn't listen to it, guys, go check out the Whole Body Detox Show on wherever you get podcasts. That podcast is up, and Hank tells his story. The bees have been dead. And what's interesting about bees, I got a phone call after the show from someone who said, David, the beekeepers in the Treasure Valley last year had a disastrous year, and they couldn't understand why so many hives have been dying. And, could it be it's the 5G towers? Well, I would say it's probably a significant contribution to it. Hard to say for exactly, but we do know Hank's bee is completely dead after they flipped that tower on April 15th. I mean, we've got the date the power company flipped that on. Hank went into AFib. He's been AFib 5 times. He's basically a prisoner when he goes onto his own property getting irradiated. He has been helping to mitigate that by wearing special shirts. He's put special screening on his house. He's put on special paint in his home. He's hardwired his home completely. No Wi-Fi whatsoever. So he's taken all these actions to mitigate his risk, but it's still there. It's still coming at him. It's affecting his kids. And so now he's got a property that, someday probably real estate agents will have to disclose how close homes are to a 5G tower. And we know surveys have shown that these towers, if you've got one in your yard, they decrease your home value by 20%. We know for a fact that the particular tower Hank was affected by last year, when the tax assessor from the county came out, without blinking, he decreased his property value 10% without even arguing about it. 10%, boom. So if you've got a $400,000 home and you take a $40,000 hit, or maybe as high as 20%, that's an $80,000 hit. You financed it. Now you're upside down in your mortgage potentially if you need to sell. So it's a really big problem. So if you want to stay in the loop on that, and if you want to become involved, we could really use all the volunteers we can get at Idahoans for Safe Technology. Go to idahoansforsafetechnology.org. Register for the newsletter. That's how we put you on the list. We send out an email now and then updating you what's going on. And if you want to get involved and really help us out, please reach out to us via Idahoans for Safe Technology, or you can contact me here at the office at 208-378-9911. Hey, we'll be back in a moment to talk about more ways to boost your health. We'll be talking about brain fog and lymphatic and thyroid and hormone issues. We'll be going to that more in the next section. Stay tuned. I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters Wellness Center, where miracles begin by healing from within. All right, welcome back to the Whole Body Detox Show. I'm David DeHaas on KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Thanks for stopping by and listening. This next section, we're going to talk about symptoms that the majority of the population that sees us is experiencing and what you can do to reverse it. Let's talk about the number one thing that we see besides constipation is brain fog. We see brain fog. We see the complaints of chronic fatigue. Great example was someone I talked to this last week who says, oh my gosh, David, I'm really, really tired. I said, well, how old are you? And she says, I'm 42 years of age. And I says, well, tell me more about your symptoms. She says, man, I just can't get any energy. She says, I continue to gain weight. I can't lose weight. No matter what I do, no matter what diet I go on, I'm continually gaining weight, always tired, and I have brain fog. I mean, my thinking is not clear. And I says, what about headaches? She says, oh, yes, I got headaches. I'll get migraines, especially around my menstrual cycle, and they're just unbearable. I says, okay, let's talk about what's going on in your bowels. And she kind of looked at me, and I says, well, let me just guess. You're constipated, aren't you? How often do you go number 2? And it was once every 3 days. Well, that's a problem, my friends, because think about the amount of putrefaction and what's happening in your gut. You have a total of about 36 feet of intestinal tract. The surface area the size of a tennis court. It's a lot of area that needs to be taken care of properly. And my mentor, who I never met, but I've read all of his books, Dr. Bernard Jensen, said, in treating over 300,000 people in his day, he says, if you want to get well, invariably you have to take care of the bowels first. There's a book that came out about 2007 called Your Second Brain. And they're talking about the colon and small intestine. Why is it the second brain, you may ask? Well, every organ in your body, every organ, your eyes, your ears, your heart, your liver, your spleen, your kidneys, your legs, your shoulders, your arms, everything is connected to your bowels. Everything. Every single organ. There's actually more neurons in your gut than when I say gut, I'm talking about bowels, than your spinal column. Think about it. More neurons. Well, David, what's a neuron? Well, a neuron, I want you to think of a neuron like a cell phone. A cell phone is putting out a signal, right? It's connecting. And what neurons do is they fire and wire the nerves that connect to your colon and small intestine. And how those operate really affects those organs. I'm going to give you a great example of something that's happened to me. I have refereed a ton over the last 8 years. And there was about 5 years ago, all of a sudden I had what I thought was a groin pull. I mean, one day I was like, dang, I could hardly get out of bed. My groin hurt. I had to lift my leg to get out of bed. I mean, every step hurt. I thought, oh my gosh, this is serious. I'm going to probably not be able to ref for a long time. Because my experience in the past with a groin pull was I'm out for 5 or 6 months. But I thought to myself, I haven't done a colonic for a bit. I'm going to come down and do a colonic. So I did a colon hydrotherapy session. It's about a 45-minute session. If you want to learn more about what that means, go to livingwaterscleanse.com and you look under modalities, you see colon hydrotherapy, and you actually see a little 10-minute video on how a colonic is actually executed. It's really simple to do. It's very private. It's non-invasive. It's really simple to do. Most people get off and go, oh my gosh, I feel better and relaxed and refreshed already. But you want to learn about colon hydrotherapy. So go there and learn about it. So I did a colon hydrotherapy session. And if you look on the chart, which by the way, in the webinar, the 4 natural laws of healing.com, which by the way, at livingwaterscleanse.com, the top right, it says 4 natural laws of healing. Click on that. That'll let you register to get the webinar. I highly recommend you watch it. It's 68 minutes. I'm not going to apologize for the length. I teach you so much in 68 minutes. Something that took me several years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn on my own in healing my own body. But definitely watch that. But the point of the story is that you're going to see there on the chart, this iridology chart, all these connections. And the connection for the groin is in the lower left of your colon. So in one session, pretty easy to clear all that out. And after that session, 85% of my pain was gone. Still had some residual pain, but it was bearable. And 3 days later, I refereed 9 games. 9 basketball games. And they're high-level games, so I was running quite a bit, and I was totally amazed at how quickly that turned around. I had a contractor come in a while back. It's probably been a few years now. But he'd spent about $12,000 doing a lot of interesting alternative stuff. All good stuff. Nothing wrong with it. He'd done a parasite cleanse. He spent $2,000 doing a parasite cleanse. And he was told that his parasites were gone. But yet he still cannot swing a hammer. Here's a guy, a framer, who's been swinging a hammer for 40 years, and now he can't swing. He's completely not capable of doing his job. So I looked at him. I says, you're going to have to do a 10-day cleanse if you really want to get on top of this. And he was really resistant. First of all, he was embarrassed. He didn't want his friends to know that he was down here at Living Waters. I said, no problem. I'm not going to scream to the world that you've done this. Just come in and try it. So he tried 3 sessions. He says, okay, I'll give it 3 sessions. And after 3 sessions, he was like, I'm feeling better. I said, let's continue, my friend. So he did. 5 days later, he was now, as you do a client session, each time you're going farther and farther into the colon, cleaning more and more out. And so if you look on the chart, which you'll see in the webinar, 4 Natural Laws of Healing, you're going to see that connection of the shoulder, which he couldn't move. But on day 5, he could move it. He could swing a hammer again 5 days later. And he went on, and of course, he went across, and one of the other things he was experiencing as well was brain fog. Well, brain fog has everything to do with transverse colon. If you look on that chart, you'll see all the connections to the brain are in the transverse colon. So feel just down underneath your ribs, and horizontally below your ribs, that's transverse colon. So as he was cleaning that out, he experienced a little worse brain fog for a couple of days, but then it cleared up. And it was refreshing, he said, to be able to think again and to put thoughts together where before, he'd forget things. I mean, he was just becoming what he thought was absent-mindedness was really just a dirty, foul colon. That's all it was. So we cleaned that out, and he went on to get better. So back to the lady that I was talking to. I said, tell me more about your symptoms. She said, well, I get these headaches. I says, well, again, headaches are usually caused by not only a dirty transverse colon, but usually parasites are going to affect that as well. I'll give another great example. Our former colon hydrotherapist who just recently retired came to us in 2013. After 12 years, once a month, having a severe migraine that would put her out for a week. Think about that. 144 weeks of her life affected because of migraines. So for those of you with headaches and migraines, you've got to get your colon healed. You've got to clean out that putrefying, rotting mass that's sitting in there. Did you know the average person packs 12 to 15 pounds of just old, rotting garbage in their gut? Well, if you had 12 pounds of old, rotting food in your refrigerator, would you just leave it there? Would you throw a probiotic in there or some raw yogurt and expect it to change? Of course you wouldn't. That's not going to change it, not one bit. So we clean out the colon, and what was interesting about her and her experience was that she had tons of parasites come out. Tons of parasites, which we expect because we see this all the time. The parasites came out, and she has not had, since 2013, a headache. Not one. No medications, just simply doing a 10-day deep tissue cleanse. And that changed the trajectory of her life. I mean, think about it. You've lost 144 weeks of life to being in misery, and now all of a sudden you've changed the outcome simply by doing colon hydrotherapy. I mean, it's so inexpensive to do it, and the rates of return on your investment are infinite, getting your health back. He'll be back for the next section. We're going to talk more about healing the body, so stay tuned. I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters Wellness Center on the Whole Body Detox Show, where miracles begin by healing from within. You suffering from brain fog, joint pain, inflammation, digestion, gas and bloating, hormone issues, and other pains? Is your hair falling out, your nails getting thin, you can't seem to stop gaining weight? Well, there's a common link among all these symptoms. One you would probably never think of. This is not normal, and it's not a sign of aging. Hi, I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters Wellness Center. For the last 12 years, we've helped people just like you recover from all manner of pains. This week on the Whole Body Detox Show, I will clearly describe how you can heal your body by healing from within. So join me this Sunday at 9 a.m. on KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Welcome back. I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters Wellness Center on the Whole Body Detox Show. We've been talking about ways to heal from within, and I want to continue on that. And in the last segment, we talked about headaches and healing the body. By the way, go watch 4 Natural Laws of Healing. It's there on our website at livingwaterscleanse.com. We show you how the body is connected, every organ connected to the gut. Let's talk about another big problem. As I was mentioning, this gal who came to me this week with the headaches and the brain fog. And then she mentioned that she'd been doing some hormone therapy and her thyroid was off and so forth. And of course, the next thing I said, well, if you've got toxic bowels, your lymphatic system is going to be toxic. Your liver is going to be toxic. And your liver, it has a lot of work to do. It's got a couple thousand jobs. And one of those is the hormones and thyroid. So when those are off, if you have a dirty blood system, if you have a dirty liver, a toxic liver, then you've got a problem. And so many people are getting diagnosed with this thing called fatty liver. Well, a fatty liver is not a fat liver. A fatty liver is a term for a very toxic liver. But understand that you can reverse these symptoms by simply cleaning up the body. And we talk about that in the 4 Natural Laws of Healing. What's the 4 natural laws? Well, the first law is clean the colon. Number 2, clean the small intestine. Number 3, clean the blood. Number 4, serve up perfect nutrition. And that's really, really critical. And what's interesting is I see so many people skimp on investing in the 4th natural law. And we'll talk about that more later, but that's really, really important. So once we get the highways, I call it the pathways, your biggest detoxification pathways are colon and small intestine. So for those of you who did a, quote, juice cleanse or a water fast, a water cleanse, let me assure you, that was not a cleanse. That was giving your body a digestive break, which was excellent. Nothing wrong with that. And your body probably loved it. It probably loved having the break of trying to digest the food through a toxic system. So if you've got 12 to 15 pounds of fecal matter just caked in there in your gut and your small intestine, there's not things getting absorbed properly into nutrition. So one of the other symptoms that she mentioned to me, this is the gal that's mentioned to me, okay, I have brain fog, I have headaches, I'm constipated, I go to the bathroom once every 3 days, I've got what I believe are hormone issues, and the other symptom is that my hair's falling out. I'm going to be bald pretty soon, David. He says, I said, let me tell you, how about your nails? Oh, yeah, my nails are really weak too. Well, hair falling out, nails getting thin, that is a nutritional deficiency caused by plugged up bowels. So if your bowels are plugged up, the vitamins and minerals being digested out of your food can't drop through the villi, what I call to the shag carpet of the gut, into the blood. And if your blood is dirty, which is if your liver has been doing its job properly, it's taken all these toxins the best it can and tried to wrap it in bile and park it in the liver, and that's why you get a fatty liver. But the blood is now dirty and turbid, and the reason why so many people are getting valves replaced in their heart is because they have very turbid blood. The heart shouldn't have to have a hard job of pumping blood all day long, but if you've got dirty, turbid blood, and it's more like a milkshake than water, then you're going to have extra pressure put upon your heart. So here she is. She's losing her hair. And I said, it's very simple. You need good nutrition. But before you go invest and spend $100 or $200 a month in good quality supplements, let's clean out the body first. Let's get the palate, if you will. Let's get it cleaned out. Let's get the gut cleaned out. Let's get the neurons firing and wiring again in the gut. Remember, you got more neurons in your gut than you do your spinal column. If they're not wiring or firing, as we mentioned, you have a problem. And when we do that, we see amazing things. Let me give you a prime example. It was a young lady, 32 years of age, 2 kids, and her downfall began in college. There's usually some emotional, stressful event that happens. For some of you women listening to this show, it's probably after your 2nd or 3rd child was born. You had some stress in your life. For her, it was in college, and which happens to a lot of people. Usually maybe it's a breakup of a relationship or some event that gets triggered. But anyway, that's where it began for her. She was a highly skilled athlete, played college ball, but all of a sudden, she's got fatigue, but she just learned to power through it. Well, pretty soon she's not powering through it, and she went to a lot of different resources to figure out what's wrong with me. I think she did something like 3 MRIs, a couple of CT scans, blood draws, tests, lots of tests. She came into me, she had super dark circles under her eyes. I mean, like someone had punched her out. And I looked at her, and of course, I immediately knew what was wrong. And I began to ask her some questions after looking at intake form. And of course, one of the things I asked her was, how do you poop? Number one question any doctor should ask any patient. And she says, well, I go to the bathroom maybe once every 3 days, sometimes once every 5 days. And I says, how long has this been going? Oh, 10 years. I see. And do you have children? Yes, I have children. I see. Okay. And she taught school. So, this is affecting her job. I mean, basically her day was get up, get the kids fed, get them to school, go teach school herself, get home, go to bed. Not a life of dreams when you're 32 years of age. And you're thinking like, what's my life going to be like when I'm 40, right? When I really start aging. So now it's already a problem. So we put her on a 10-day cleanse, and her black, dark circles under her eyes went away. Her nails got stronger. Her hair got thicker. Her life changed drastically, as you can imagine. She used to say what took me 3 days of recovery after going to the day at the zoo with my kids, now she could do that just like a normal person could do that. Real easy. Just by simply cleaning out the gut. She did our 10-day healing retreat. And if you want to learn more about that, again, go watch fournaturallawsofhealing.com. Grab that's on the top of our website there. If you go to livingwaterscleanse.com, you'll find it. Watch that video. I give you all the data, all the information you need to understand how your body heals, how it gets back to balance, how it gets back to homeostasis. You've really got to understand that so that you can make a fully informed decision on going forward with healing your body. Otherwise, you're just going to be chasing symptoms for the rest of your life. See it all the time. I mean, if you could be a fly on the wall here in this building and watch all the many, many miracles that we've seen walk out of this building, is just amazing. I mean, I'm still amazed. I've been here 12 years watching this happen. So anyway, back to the headaches and the brain fog. Well, that changed radically, and she's now living a different life. And you too can live a different life. Hey, we're going to come back in just a moment and talk more about this on the other side. But be sure you go to livingwaterscleanse.com, download that video, watch it. And while you're there, you might want to also pick up our 24 steps to boosting your immune system. We'll talk about more about that when we come back in a moment on the other side of this program. But you definitely want to pick those up and sit down with your fifth grader, your fourth grader. Let them watch this, because I really, truly try to make it very simple to understand how to heal the body naturally. And you want to get that information so that you too can just understand it. When you get sick, you'll know what to do. When you get a little cold coming along, you'll know what to do. When you have a little pneumonia come along, what are you going to do, right? You want to have that data in your back pocket so it's just an automatic. You'll know what to do. And we got to first start with cleaning out the gut. It's as simple as that. Following those 4 natural laws of healing. We'll be back in a moment. I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters, where miracles begin by healing from within. You've been listening to the Whole Body Detox Show. I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters Wellness Center. And if you're driving around listening to us on the radio and you want to catch a full episode or some of our back episodes, you can go to 2 different places. Type in wholebodydetoxshow.com. That'll take you to our podcast. Or if you have the podcast app on your phone, just pull it up and search for Whole Body Detox Show. You'll see all of our shows there. We've got a lot of great interviews over the last half year that we've been doing these podcasts, including probably our number 1 downloaded show is the history of colon hydrotherapy with Dr. Ellen Tart Jensen, who was the daughter-in-law of Dr. Bernard Jensen, who was really the founder of the 10-day healing retreat way back in the day. Here was a doctor that figured out how to heal himself from tuberculosis in 1929. and went on to educate hundreds of thousands of people throughout the years. And his number one statement was, if you want to get well, you've got to begin with healing the bowels first and knowing the best ways of bowel management. And we've definitely saw that to be true. So this last segment, we're going to be talking about the lymphatic system, why it's so important. And you hear about the lymphatic system, but you really don't understand what it is. You really need to see a chart. You have about 800 lymph nodes. And many of you may be somewhat familiar. Maybe you've had a friend, or maybe you yourself have been diagnosed with, cancer in a lymph node. Maybe you've had a couple of them taken out, or maybe you have a friend who had breast cancer and they said they had, 10 or 20 or 40 lymph nodes taken out. That's a big deal, my friends. So you got to understand, what role does the lymphatic play in, and what can you do to keep it clean? Well, the number one thing you can do to keep the body clean is doing colon hydrotherapy. Really simple, easy to do. It takes you about an hour to do a colon hydrotherapy session. Doesn't take long at all. And we see so many miracles over the years by simply doing colon hydrotherapy. Story after story after story, which, by the way, you want to see some of the success stories we have on our YouTube channel, Living Waters Wellness, and also on our website, livingwaterscleanse.com. You can peruse that. I think we got about 10 pages of stories of people sharing what happened. And people with joint pain, arthritis, people coming in that were on oxygen 24 hours a day, and they were able to get down to maybe only 40% of the day. And we've seen people with pneumonia come in and clean. We've seen people with COVID coughing, hacking as they came in the door. And in about an hour session, the coughing and the hacking stopped. And then we used some of our other tools to help get the body back to balance, back to homeostasis. And we've seen them change right before our eyes. Just amazing stories. Their oxygen levels get up. Incredible what the body can do if you just take care of cleaning it out and giving it the proper nutrition. I mean, again, following those 4 natural laws of healing. And those 4 natural laws is, again, clean the colon, clean the small intestine, clean the blood, and then give it the perfect nutrition. Like V.E. Iron said, it doesn't matter what you have. If you have a healthy colon, you can't be sick at the end of the day. And I truly believe that myself after witnessing in my own life how it turned me around from all the dis-eases that I had in my body throughout the years. But the lymphatic system, let's get back to that. So the lymphatic system is amazing. You have about 800 lymph nodes, about 45 pints of lymphatic fluid. So this lymphatic fluid is created by your blood system. So you have this interstitial fluid that's seeping out from the capillaries of your blood system. It's just kind of dripping there all day long, from the bottoms of your feet to the top of your head. Think about it. So if you have dirty blood, you're probably going to have dirty lymphatic. But how would you get dirty blood, David? Well, a couple of ways. One of them is if you have a dirty colon. There are lymph nodes around your colon. These lymph nodes are very tiny little tissue that's in your body that takes that fluid. There's no pump for it, though. And here's the problem. Your pump is supposed to be you jumping up and down and moving. I know most of you are probably not doing jump rope. You're probably not getting on a trampoline or a rebounder every day. What we use at Living Waters is our whole body detox machines, the vibration machines by T-Zone, and they're excellent. They mimic walking. You get about 30 contractions a second, and that's moving that lymphatic fluid. And we want to move that lymphatic fluid because where it's supposed to dump is in the vein. And when it dumps in that vein, guess who gets it? Mr. Liver. Now, Mr. Liver has already been dealing with plenty of toxins. You've been breathing in the glyphosate that you've been, farmers are spraying on their fields, or maybe your neighbors are using it in their backyards to kill off the dandelions, which is, by the way, a really great herb to put in salads or to juice up. It's actually detoxifying for the liver, in fact. But there's so many sources of toxins anymore. Some of you are eating out of Teflon pans. If you are, throw those away right now. Go buy you some new pans. Don't use aluminum pans. Don't use those copper pans. Guys, either use cast iron or get baked enamel cast iron. If you can find real titanium, which I don't know if you can or can't, I know it's going to cost you more money, but it's a great investment to make. But cleaning out that lymphatic is really key. And now you can do dry brushing. So before you get in the shower in the morning, if you have a little soft brush, you can just up the back of your legs, then up through your gut. On your back, you have the lymph nodes. Behind your ears, from your brain on down, you have there, and you can just gently stroke with your hands and fingers and just move that lymphatic fluid. Again, a trampoline, a rebounder, a whole body vibration machine by our T-Zone. And on our website, you'll see those. We have some specials right now on the T-Zone machines. If you want to come in and try it out, just shake on it for a bit, 10 minutes. Most of you, when you do it, you're going to notice that you feel itchy. Why is that? Well, it's because you're toxic, and the body's trying to put these toxins out through the skin, and probably a lot of the toxins have already been stuffed in the subcutaneous tissue underneath your skin, which is an area of fat. When your liver says, hey, I have no more room, I'm going to put it right here. So those people that can't lose weight, like the guy I was talking about in the previous section, I says, yeah, your body is creating fat storage areas to store these toxins because the liver can't do it. You're constipated. You're not moving out the toxins like you should be. So it's got to store it someplace. So it creates more fat. Those of you who have had mercury amalgams in your teeth, another source of heavy metals, that's a problem as well. So we've got to set the body for success. We've got to detoxify it. And if you're not opening up the biggest detoxification pathway, your colon and small intestine, you're just not going to cleanse. It's just impossible to move these toxins out if you have a plugged up colon. Like I said, the average person, 12 to 15 pounds. And I've had people come in here who haven't pooped in a month sometimes, or 2 months. And I see them, drop 20 pounds in a few sessions, which is absolutely amazing. The body can actually keep living after 2 months of not evacuating the foul, old rotting food that's been putrefying in the gut. And that's going to cause those neurons to not fire and wire. And as we mentioned earlier, that if they're not firing and wire, then you're going to have a dis-ease in the body where those organs aren't getting properly communicated with. So there's a communication system in your gut. We have the microbiome. We have viruses. You have about 5 pounds of microbiome, half of which are viruses. So for those of you getting all shook up about a virus, go pull my 24 steps to boosting your immune system off of the website. It's free. Just go click on that, read that. You're going to give you all the data you need. And we talked a lot about this in my interview with Dr. Judy Mikovits on the Whole Body Detox show several weeks ago. And you definitely want to go listen to that. And again, wherever you get podcasts, the Whole Body Detox show, it's on the Apple Podcasts. Really easy to see. It's also archived on our website as well. You type in wholebodydetoxshow.com, but it's all right there. All that information is there, and you can learn a ton about that. So anyway, so those of you who have never tried a colonic and you're saying, gee, I wonder what it's like. Let me assure you, you can go on the website. In a 10-minute video, you'll see how it's done. Very easy, very private. You're covered up. So for my friends out there that are listening and you want to try it for the first time ever, these first-time customers only, just call the office at 208-378-9911 and ask for the KIDO 95 special. For $95, I'm going to give you 2.5 hours of pure love, doing the biomat, the lymphatic detox, and a colonic. So call the office at 208-378-9911 or go to livingwaterscleanse.com, book your appointment, come in, try it out. You're going to love it. It's going to make your world a whole different world. When you have your health, guys, you've got your wealth. I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters Wellness Center, where miracles begin by healing from within. You can't treat the body and heal it a piece at a time. You have to treat the whole body naturally. That's why Living Waters Wellness Center 10-day healing retreat is so successful in helping what I call the incurables back to wellness. Here's what a few clients had to say about their experience at Living Waters Wellness Center.
For over a year, I've been dealing with gas pains, stomach pains, and it's been waking me up in the middle of the night, so I never get a full night's rest. And last night, after my first colonics, I slept through the entire night without any stomach pain or any kind of issues.
I suffered from migraine headaches for 12 years, once a month, and since I did the 10-day retreat at Living Waters Wellness Center 8 years ago, I have not even had a migraine. I've not even had a headache.
I had back pain on my left side for about 20-25 years. After the 10-day healing retreat, the pain is completely gone.
To learn more about the 10-day healing retreat, go to healingtheincurables.com or call the office at 208-378-9911. That's 208-378-9911. The preceding examples may not be typical of your experience and may not be right for you. Seek the opinion of a qualified healthcare professional before determining if cleansing is right for you.